All right, let's then move on to a little bit more of a busy window in Columbus. So in the door for Columbus, center back Rudy Camacho. We've kind of talked about that already for 400K GAM. Yevon Cherbeko, a center back. Not known about the fee, but basically a swap for somebody they've lost. Julian Gressel in a trade for up to 850K GAM. And the big one, Diego Rossi, a designated player on the wing. They lost, as we've mentioned, Eloy Room, Milos Dejenik, and the big one in the loss column, Lucas Zelarayan. And this is where I was making that conversation with you was there was a rumor that had come out that they had asked to change the roster rules or the rules so that the max TAM number could go from 100 or 1,650,000 to 1.8 million. That would have allowed them to buy down Darlington Nagbe and create a team with Darlington, Lucas, Diego Rossi, and Cucho. And MLS said, no, we're not making that change. And I kind of took the bait, and everybody was screaming and yelling, oh, this isn't fair. But at the end of the day, the roster rules are the way they are. They could have, found a different way. Maybe they could have found a different way around this, but um, unfortunately, they couldn't. But I think we'll have a whole conversation later on next week, maybe about roster rule changes and things like that, because this fits in pretty well here. Um, Thoughts on the window? Best in, best out grade. I'll let you go first.
Oh, what a busy window. Um, and what a team that would be if they were able to do that. Um, best in, I do want to just go for the easy one and say Diego Rossi, but I do also very much like the Julian Gressel move, and I'm tempted to go with him just to be a little bit different.
Be unique, be niche.
Yeah. Um, you know what? I will go with Julian Gressel because I think Gressel did really well in Vancouver, meaning they had no choice but to sell him. Uh, I think he will do well in Columbus as well. He knows the league. He's been in the league for years now. Rossi obviously knows the league a bit as well, but has been out of the league for a little bit. And as we know, MLS is ever changing and ever changing quickly. So I'm sure this is not nearly the same MLS that Rossi had once left. I think worst loss. I mean, Zelarayan. This says on here they got 2.75 million. You sold them to Saudi Arabia, who is a absolutely burning cash right now to buy anybody and their mother. And you only got 2.75 million for a guy who's been in the MVP conversation for like 3 years now. And I know Zelarayan is 31 years old. He's on the wrong side of 30. But come on, you couldn't get more than that. I mean, this is assuming this number is right. But you couldn't get more than that for Zelarayan. You gave up your best player, one of the best players in the entire league, and that was the only return you got. Granted, I'm glad that they were able to bring in Diego Rossi and replace him. I think it's a fantastic signing, but that sale feels very disappointing unless there is extra context that you can bring in. Other than I understand the roster rules, they probably had to sell somebody, but
Yep. Well, and here's the thing, right? Um, with with things like this, it it it's a good look in a way that this happened and it came to light because it shows that there are owners that are willing to do the spending to bring in good teams and good players, which shows you that there isn't this group of people saying, oh, everybody wants to spend without any proof, right? We have the proof here saying teams want to make this money or make these teams spend this money, put out this group of players. Their fans want to bring them in. It'll bring more fans. They're not afraid of the risk. Let's do it. And now they're being held back rather than lifted up by these roster rules. So it is something that I think will be a focal point when we talk, excuse me, when we talk about changes, when we talk about ways that the the league can adapt to what we're doing, because I think we're ready to take that next step. But that's um another step up completely. Give me 1 second here. So my best group here. So I agree wholly with your comment about the return as well, right? There is, and I was just looking. MLS Gone Wild's done really well about reporting these moves. Obviously being a Crew supporter, and he's got some good contacts. And I found a tweet here that basically said, with Zelarayan, it's been reported anywhere between 2 million and like 8 million on any given day. So there's no transparency. There's no idea about what the money is, but under the 10 mil mark for a player like that feels a little low for what Saudi Arabia is paying people and for where we want the league to go. I think back when we really weren't producing players or weren't making these switches, anybody worth 5 million was like, whoa, we're awesome, right? But now we've got this base of players that I think can probably be pushed for double digits, which one will increase revenue coming into the league, right? But two, it will also say, listen, if you're not going to go, we're going to keep you here and we're going to make the quality of our league better. We're not just going to keep flipping the best one. We're going to hold on to some of them until the price is right. And that's another, catch 22. People will be upset about it, but it's good for the long-term investment of the league. So, you talked about Julian Gressel. I think that's a great under the radar move with all these other moves coming in with the Zelarayan Rossi change, right? He's going to add so much to Wilfred Nancy's system. He's running two very good center backs that'll fit his group, and sent Dejenik home, which he didn't really pan out for what they wanted to do. Eloy Room was never getting time, so they got that salary off the book, and then to fund the Diego Rossi move, they had to get rid of Zelarayan. So overall, really like the window. I'm thinking one of the better windows in the league this couple months. I'll say, you talk about Gressel. I'll say Diego Rossi is the best guy in for me. Lucas Zelarayan, of course, the biggest out. But it's that one really washes itself out. Grade for me. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go grade. Give me an A minus. Because I really like how the additions that they made were not just names. They did it to fit a system. Wilfred Nancy said, I need players who can do this, and he went out and got them. And I love that.
Yep. I am. You gotta criticize me again, but yes, I am right on board with an A minus. Only thing keeping me from an A is that Zelarayan sale.
Why would I criticize you? Is my pick.
Well, you're just gonna say I'm copying you.
Well, you are, but it's okay to copy greatness.